A wild leaf in a Tanzanian forest cured a sick chimpanzee in 24 hours, and the same plant fed Igbo children for centuries to kill stomach worms. Another green on this list was so sacred, Spanish priests buried it after the conquest of Mexico, and the last American factory that canned a fourth one closed in April of 2000. 12 leafy greens that fed tribes for thousands of years and quietly outclassed every vegetable in your grocery aisle. However, half of them require preparation knowledge that almost no one alive today still has.
During World War II, Germany invaded Greece. Food was rationed. There was famine. My father and his entire family survived by eating this. This is pigweed, also known as purslane. Is it some kind of super miracle food? And if it is, how come it's not more popular?
Let's start with number 12, miner's lettuce. Miner's lettuce earned its English name in a brutal way. During the 1849 California gold rush, miners eating salt pork and hardtack started losing their teeth to scurvy, and indigenous Californians showed them a small disc-shaped green growing under oak trees every spring.
It's a low-growing succulent plant that's native to western North America. It gets its nickname miner's lettuce from the California gold rush era when miners consumed it to prevent scurvy due to its high vitamin C content.
The Cahuilla, Olón, Coast Miwok, and Pomo had been eating it for centuries before anyone panned for gold, documented by Lowell Bean and Catherine Saubel in Temelpak, 1972, and Jan Timbrook in Chumash Ethnobotany, 2007. Per 100 grams, it delivers 33 milligrams of vitamin C plus iron and beta-carotene. Miners' folk wisdom turned out to be hard biochemistry because Claytonia perfoliata is one of the few wild greens you can eat raw. However, the green at number 11 did not just save miners, it nearly killed every soldier who tried to eat it wrong. And the next one at number 11 is ostrich fern fiddleheads. The Wabanaki Confederacy, the Mi'kmaq, Maliseet, Passamaquoddy, Penobscot, and Abenaki harvested tightly curled fern fronds along the St. John River for thousands of years before the Acadians arrived in the early 1700s. The Wabanaki taught the Acadian settlers how to find them, clean them, and one rule you can never break: boil them for at least 10 minutes or you will spend the next 12 hours violently sick. The CDC documented that in a 1994 MMWR report after outbreaks in New York and Western Canada. Cooked properly, they're a nutritional bomb. The USDA gives you 4.5 grams of protein, 27 milligrams of vitamin C, and 3,600 IU of vitamin A per 100 grams. In 2011, John DeLong at the Atlantic Food and Horticulture Research Center published in the Canadian Journal of Plant Science that fiddleheads carry roughly twice the antioxidant capacity of blueberries on a dry weight basis. However, this next one survived a British wartime emergency. Sliding into number 10 now is stinging nettle.
Stinging nettle is a common plant that grows in all the world. Because of its amazing health benefits, this plant has a long history of use as a medicinal aid. The benefits of stinging nettle leaves are so many, and all parts of the nettle plant can be used for different applications.
Stinging nettle has been feeding humans since the Bronze Age. Nancy Turner at the University of British Columbia documented Coast Salish, Skokomish, and Quinault peoples eating spring shoots and food plants of coastal First Peoples, 1995. The Sami of northern Scandinavia used the leaves as a post-winter tonic, and the Plains tribes used the stem fibers more for cordage than for food. However, the leaf itself does something almost no other green can. The USDA's entry for blanched nettles gives you 481 milligrams of calcium per 100 grams, roughly 17 times raw spinach. You also get 2.7 grams of protein, 1.6 milligrams of iron, and 2,000 IU of vitamin A. During World War II, the British Ministry of Supply called for the public to gather 100 tons of nettles. The chlorophyll was extracted as a green dye for camouflage netting and uniforms, and school children got paid by the pound to collect them. However, the next one at number 9 hid inside European kitchens under a name that erased its origins. Up next at number 9 is Waragle Greens. Waragle Greens, known as kokihi to the Maori, became the first Australian food plant ever cultivated in Europe. Captain Cook's crew on the Endeavour picked it at Queen Charlotte Sound in 1770 and at Botany Bay, and Joseph Banks carried seeds to Kew Gardens in July of 1771.
They were one of the first native Australian vegetables to become popular with European settlers. Captain Cook encouraged his men to eat them to fight scurvy. Many convicts owed their lives to eating Waragle greens, and back in England it became a popular summer vegetable.
From there, it spread across Europe and North America as New Zealand spinach, a name that erased its origins. Despite hundreds of internet articles claiming Aboriginal Australians used Waragle greens as a staple, ethnobotanist Tim Lowe couldn't find archival evidence in his 1991 book, Wild Food Plants of Australia. Sydney coastal peoples ate it opportunistically, but the Maori treated it as a regular food. The New Zealand Food Composition Database lists 2 grams of protein, 58 milligrams of calcium, 2.5 milligrams of iron, and 30 milligrams of vitamin C per 100 grams. However, the next green on the list got pulled out of New Zealand kitchens by a law that almost erased Maori medicine entirely. Now moving up to number 8, Puha.
Something lovely about Puha is that it does grow year-round, so it's the type of plant that you can find in the depths of winter or the middle of summer. So it's a very common and prolific weed.
Puha is the Maori name for sow thistle, Sonchus oleratius, the bitter green at the heart of a traditional boil-up simmered for hours with pork bones, kumara, and watercress. Murdoch Riley documented its use in Maori Healing and Herbal, 1994. You rub the milky latex off the stems under cold water before cooking, which makes it palatable. Peer-reviewed analysis by Gil Guerrero in the Journal of the Science of Food and Agriculture, 1998, puts Puha at 3 milligrams of iron, 93 milligrams of calcium, and 60 milligrams of vitamin C per 100 grams. That's more iron than raw spinach and twice the vitamin C. Most New Zealanders under 40 don't grow up eating it because cabbage, silver beet, and lettuce replaced the native greens during colonial dietary substitution, and the Tohunga Suppression Act of 1907, Voice, Oceania, 1989, banned Maori healing practice until it was repealed in 1962. However, the green at number 7 hides the omega-3 story that should have rewritten every nutrition textbook. And the one sitting at number 7 is purslane. Purslane is the small fleshy weed American gardeners rip out of their flower beds every summer, and almost none of them know what they're tearing up.
During World War II, Germany invaded Greece. Food was rationed. There was famine. My father and his entire family survived by eating this. This is pigweed, also known as purslane. Is it some kind of super miracle food? And if it is, how come it's not more popular?
Indigenous peoples in North America were eating it before Columbus arrived. Scientists found portulaca seeds in lake sediment cores at Crawford Lake, Ontario, dated to around 1430, which Byrne and McAndrews published in Nature in 1973. In Mexico, it's called verdolagas. In China, it's been a medicinal staple for over 1,000 years, and across the Mediterranean, it's been eaten for at least 4,000 years. In 1986, Artemis Simopoulos and Norman Salem published a one-page note in the New England Journal of Medicine that quietly destroyed every modern salad green. They proved purslane carries 300 to 400 milligrams of omega-3 alpha linolenic acid per 100 grams of fresh leaves, roughly 7 times what spinach delivers, and no other leafy vegetable comes close. The USDA also gives you 65 milligrams of calcium, 494 milligrams of potassium, and 12 milligrams of vitamin E per 100 grams. However, the green at number 6 was so dangerous, the company canning it for half a century gave up. Moving up to number 6, pokeweed.
Pokeweed is an impressive perennial plant, and equally impressive to its size and striking coloration is its importance to pollinators, as a host plant, and most importantly to birds. It is also valuable in soil remediation when heavy metal contamination is a concern, but by far pokeweed is best known to most people for its cultural use as food and in herbal medicine preparations.
Pokeweed is the most dangerous food on this list, and the Cherokee figured it out anyway. Phytolacca americana grows wild across the American Southeast, and every part is toxic if you eat it wrong. The leaves carry phytolacca toxin and phytolaxygenin. The root will put you in a hospital, and the purple berries can kill a small child. Cherokee preparation is documented in Hamill and Chiltosky's Cherokee Plants and Their Uses, 1975. You pick only young shoots under 8 inches tall, boil them, drain, boil again, drain, and then a third time. That's how you get poke salad. The University of Arkansas Cooperative Extension confirms that in April of 2000, Alan Canning in Siloam Springs, Arkansas, ran the last batch of canned poke salad, ending 51 years of production. The older folks who knew how to forage poke had aged out, and no one under 50 wanted the job. A piece of American food history died in one quiet afternoon. Pokeweed antiviral protein, or PAP, is a ribosome inactivating protein that Mansouri and Hudak published on in PLOS One, 2012, showing it depurinates HIV-1 RNA in laboratory conditions. The plant that nearly killed careless foragers sits inside antiviral research labs right now. However, the next green on the list rebuilt an entire continent's soil. And the next one at number 5 is Old Man Saltbush. Old Man Saltbush, Atriplex nummularia, is the silver-leafed shrub covering the salt flats of inland South Australia and New South Wales, and Aboriginal peoples have been eating it for tens of thousands of years.
This plant has given us control of our feed supply. We know that on January the 1st next year that we can put in about 1,000 lambs into a paddock, and we know they'll be there for a month while we go on a holiday, and I think that gives us confidence to know that those stock are being fed.
Beth Gott documented its use in archaeology in Oceania, 1982, confirmed by Tim Lowe in 1991. Seeds were ground into damper bread, and leaves wrapped meat cooked over coals. CSIRO analysis published in Animal Production Science, 2010, places saltbush protein near 20 grams per 100 grams on a dry weight basis, calcium around 310 milligrams, and a phenolic antioxidant load beating most cultivated vegetables. Modern Australian chefs at restaurants like Attica in Melbourne use it as a natural salt substitute. British settlers grazed merino sheep across the saltbush plains in the 19th century, and by the 1950s, they'd stripped millions of hectares. CSIRO has since spent decades replanting it. The people who ate saltbush for 40,000 years were also regenerating Australia's arid landscape. However, the green at number 4 solved a problem modern science was 20 years late to figure out. And the one sitting at number 4 is bitterleaf. Bitterleaf is the foundation of 3 African cuisines at once. The Igbo of eastern Nigeria call it onugbu and build ofe onugbu soup around it. The Yoruba call it iwuro. The Cameroonians use it in ndole, the national dish. Per 100 grams of fresh leaves, peer-reviewed work by Ija and Ejika in the Journal of Medicinal Plants Research, 2011, reports 5 grams of protein, 145 milligrams of calcium, 5 milligrams of iron, and 50 milligrams of vitamin C. But the lesser-known story made the scientific world finally pay attention. In 1989, primatologist Michael Huffman watched a sick chimpanzee named Chausiku in Tanzania's Mahale Mountains National Park slowly chew the bitter pith of a Vernonia amygdalina stem. Within 24 hours, she'd recovered, and Huffman published the observation in Primates that year. Later research by Jisaka and Ohigashi in Tetrahedron, 1992, isolated the compounds responsible, including vernoniacide B1 and vernodalin, with documented anti-parasitic activity. The exact plant West African grandmothers had been giving children for stomach worms was the exact plant chimpanzees figured out on their own. However, the next one at number 3 got hijacked by the global supplement industry. Now we arrive at number 3, Moringa. Moringa oleifera, the drumstick tree, has fed people across South India, Sri Lanka, and the African Sahel for thousands of years.
But this can be eaten fresh. And this tree's also been called the horseradish tree. It has a little bit of a spice to it. So you can eat the fresh leaves like this, you can eat the dried leaves, you can cook and eat the pods, you can eat the flowers.
Peer-reviewed work by Anwar in Phytotherapy Research, 2007, and Leone in 2015 puts fresh moringa leaves at 9 grams of protein, 185 milligrams of calcium, 4 milligrams of iron, and 6.6 milligrams of beta-carotene per 100 grams. However, the supplement industry has been lying to you for 15 years. The viral claim that moringa carries 7 times the vitamin C of oranges is false for fresh leaves, which sit at 50 milligrams compared to 53 in an orange. The 15 times the potassium of bananas claim silently compares dried powder to fresh whole food. Fresh moringa does exceed spinach in calcium by 6 to 7 times, and iron by 50%. It was never forgotten at home, it just never reached northern grocery shelves until the supplement industry inflated its resume. However, the runner-up at number 2 beat moringa, spinach, and almost every cultivated leaf on earth for raw mineral density. And the runner-up at number 2 is Bathua. Bathua in Hindi and lamb's quarters in English are the same plant, Chenopodium album, and it grew on every continent humans farmed. The Blackfoot of the Northern Plains gathered it, documented by Alex Johnston in his 1987 paper for the Lethbridge Historical Society, and confirmed by Daniel Moorman in Native American Ethnobotany, 1998. Across India, Pakistan, and Nepal, it's been a winter staple since the Vedic period, and it appears in the official Indian food composition tables, NIN 2017. The USDA gives you per 100 grams of raw leaves 4.2 grams of protein, 309 milligrams of calcium, 80 milligrams of vitamin C, and 11,600 IU of vitamin A. That's roughly 11 times the calcium of raw spinach, nearly 3 times the vitamin C, and 40% more protein. American Extension Services reclassified it as a noxious weed and sprayed it out of crop fields, and India's Green Revolution plowed under the winter sag fields and replaced them with wheat monoculture. However, the green at number 1 was so feared by a colonial empire, they tried to bury it for 400 years. Which leaves us with number 1, Amaranth Greens. Amaranth was a staple of the Aztec Empire and one of the 4 pillars of their food system, alongside maize, beans, and chia. The Aztecs called it huautli, and Bernardino de Sahagún documented its central role in the Florentine Codex around 1577. Jonathan Sauer's monograph in the Annals of the Missouri Botanical Garden, 1967, and Arturo Warman's 1988 study expanded the story. The USDA gives you per 100 grams of raw amaranth leaves 2.5 grams of protein, 215 milligrams of calcium, 2.3 milligrams of iron, and 2,900 micrograms of vitamin A activity. That's roughly 7 to 8 times the calcium of raw spinach. But the real story is what the Spanish did to it after the conquest. The Aztecs mixed amaranth flour with maguey syrup and small amounts of blood from ritual sacrifice to form effigies of Huitzilopochtli, which were broken apart and eaten in a ceremony uncomfortably similar to the Eucharist. Spanish colonial and church authorities banned the ceremonial idols and pushed amaranth cultivation underground. The online claim that Cortez ordered the death penalty for growing it isn't supported by primary chronicles. However, the suppression was real and lasted 400 years. Amaranth collapsed from a continental staple to a marginal plant in Oaxaca and Tlaxcala, and only returned to global agriculture in the 1970s when the Rodale Institute rebuilt the seed lines. So if you made it this far, you actually care about this stuff. Look at the pattern. Every green on this list survived because somebody refused to forget. An Igbo grandmother, a Wabanaki elder, a Cherokee herbalist, a Mari healer. They kept the knowledge alive when the dominant culture told them it was worthless. Hit subscribe if you want more of this. We're rebuilding what got buried.